Your march nears its end, to a place most familiar. The cold bites the insides of your bones, and the rain permeates your clothing. But, remembering the warmth that has filled your heart, and the stories that have filled your ears, you push on to House Whisperwood. Welcome, Pumpkin. It's a pleasure to have you here again. Hang those wet clothes by the fire, cozy up in some blankets, and here's a banana. It's a pleasure seeing your confused little face, but I promise it will make sense. That is, assuming you'd like to hear another story. Well, of course, dear one. I'd love to read one to you. And if you feel yourself dozing off, then I'll take that as a compliment. Entry 0, 3rd of January at 8:35 p.m. I've spent far too long humoring the antics of this here planet. As my boredom has clearly overtaken me, I shall take my machine and travel far away. Surely, there's another dimension I have yet to thread. And to ensure my library goes ever larger, I'll notate this adventure in Logbook 4027. Entry 1. Of all the blasted times, my machine has chosen today to play me a fool. I've ended up in a dimension that I do not understand. However, a seeming lack of Homo sapiens species in this dimension has me occupying the body of a gorilla specimen. And thanks to some physical glitch due to my dimensional meddling, I'm stuck moving this body around with bongos. And that is correct. I am indeed struggling to even write. My fingers feel closer to a crane I must operate than my own trusty appendages. And I feel as if I am using musical notes of a drum to instruct my muscles rather than plain English. A swift exit is a must. Upon arrival, I had left my machine under a pile of bananas. Despite the physical challenges, I must repair it at once, so I may leave. Bugger. It has been stolen. Right from under my nose, along with the blasted potassium sticks. I suppose I'm not even allowed a little snack to fill my heart among this grievance. Though I may daydream of yellow sheep, I must focus. An extended stay here may be dangerous. Entry 2. I noted a long Congo line of animals traveling amidst large stores of bananas. Surely they are responsible for my stranded nature. I shall confront them now. No luck. Something is off with them. They travel in a zombie-like state, and no manner of effort draws their attention. And their eyes, they're not right. Regardless, I've spotted a significantly larger troop of wanderers much further ahead. They travel fast. They've outmarched my own pace. The difficulties I have controlling this form made sure of that. If anyone were to have my machine, it must be them. Thankfully, I see their destination. A newborn volcanic structure centering the island I find myself upon, still flowing with fresh lava from the eruption that occurred not too long ago. Memoir. Upon revision, ensure to add eruption to the introduction. I spot a rather long road crawling away from me. Despite the obvious demerit in length, no other road seems nearly as travel-worthy. So off I wander to the forest on the horizon. Entry 3. Even if I had gone blind, my entry into this jungle would be incredibly obvious. I feel as if I'm traversing through an airborne ocean. Beads of water roll down my cheek, while my sweat glands have yet to activate. Though, while looking upon the beautiful canopy above and the breathtaking plant life in my front, any grievance is washed away, while awe remains. And amongst the flora, there's significant evidence for some intelligent species having dominated these lands before. But all that remains are stone ruins, like a whisper in a busy room, barely poking forth from the ever-expanding nature. Entry 4. These lands are strange, like a chessboard divided, and by some miracle of God or otherwise, I simply know the designation of these spaces without a sign or map in sight. I shall make a note of how I march through the more dangerous lands, and write up a compendium of the areas that need little attention. (1-2) King of Kling. 1-3 Crazy Cart. Entry 5. 1-1 Jungle Hijinks. The first area eases my anxiety a touch. It was a rather fun first note in this orchestra, with bananas littering the floor and little mini-games that spit out more. I'm sent back into memories of my childhood years in a candy store. And while I'm making my way to the next adventure, I've spotted a real store. Perhaps these yellow coins will gain me services or some goods. Indeed, within this store, I was offered a wide array of items, though there were 2 items that caught my attention. Simple red balloons, perhaps the least useful sounding item, but don't be so judgmental, dear one. If I ever were to fail, then this balloon will carry me back to the latest safety. So I purchased plenty. And then, a true grace from God, the heart boost. When used, it grants me an extra heart until I run out of red balloons, lifting some pressure off of the sleepy Diddy Kong, and my proclivity to lose my hand. Entry 6, marked in shorthand. 1-3 Treetop Bop. An exceptional spot for vacationing. Light-hearted parkouring for the whole family. 1-4 Sunset Shore. For a reason beyond me, I require money to go here. I'll save my coins for the shop. 1-5 Canopy Cannons. A little reprieve from controls. Shoot yourself from the cannons. Entry 7. Continuing on my journey, I find myself within the middle of a clearing, staring upon a creature of some sort, munching on a pile of bananas. It's a creature at the size of a rhino, yet its genetic code seems to take some inspiration from a frog and a porcupine. Yellow in skin, with red horns protruding from its feet and its back. By the time I finally drank in the visage of this creature, I spotted some sentient wooden mask that seems familiar to me. Blue on one side and red on the other, with a tiki aesthetic. And it's flying down to the creature. Oh, that melody is incredible. It appears I was distracted for a moment. Oh, excuse me, old bean. It does appear that I'm being charged upon. Marked in shorthand. Creature log, Mugly. Attack 1. Upon licking his chomper, he charges. When doing this, his spike retracts. Aim for the back. Attack 2. If he breaks out in dance, he's preparing to jump. During one of these jumps, simply roll underneath him. No counterattack is possible. Upon taking enough damage, he screams and turns orange, serving only to speed up his attacks. Then, after more damage, he grows a shade darker, adding 2 new attacks. After stomping the ground, he jumps higher than ever before. Get out from underneath him and jump over the shockwave. If he scrapes his hind paws, then he's charging. This time, however, simply jump over and let him slam himself into nigh unconsciousness against the wall. And there we are. Victory. The mask pops out again after dazing the creature. Time for tribal justice.
Oh, God, help me!
And with that, I'll take my leave. (2-4) Popping planks. 2-6 Blowhole bound. Entry 8. As my footsteps continue, I feel them steadily growing softer, until my feet dent the ground I walk upon. For it is no longer ground, rather sand. I've stumbled upon a grand expanse of pearly white beach, only to be interrupted by large, sharp, ascending chunks of wood, like hundreds of ships were tossed into a blender and strewn about. Perhaps there are Homo sapien after all. Despite my excitement, I can't help but let my attention be drawn to the ocean. I'm currently sitting, my legs dangling in the water, gazing out into the infinite blanket of blue, while the rhythmic sounds of the waves narrowly lull me into sleep. Entry 9, 2-2, Sloppy Sands. It appears as though humans are truly gone indeed. The grand designers of these war machines are crabs. I shudder to think how their claws can operate a hammer and a nail. Shellfish squid shooters line the corpses of their broken ships. The ammunition was easy enough to jump upon, but exercise caution, they regularly electrocute the squid to give you another reason to jump. Following the front line assault, I found myself staring down a tower as their last defense. Luckily, the industrial-sized sand buckets offer me an excellent mode of ascension. Thus, I quickly made my way above the tower and escaped the level. Entry 10, marked in shorthand. 2-3, Peaceful Pier. The name lies. But keep your eyes open, for a specific barrel. It allows one to fly. 2-4. Cannon cluster. A training ground for naval bombardment. Stay quick. They stick to rhythm. 2-4. Stormy shore. Kraken. Blimey. 2-7. Tidal terror. A lack of patience would spell your doom. Oceanic waves deserve the right of passage. Entry 11. I feel like I'm getting closer to a hideout. All manner of crab are found all around the ruins of this particular ship, like a headquarter of some description. I've made my way to what appears to be a main area. Many a crab are gathered around. In particular, 3 crabs, slightly bigger than the rest. One of cornflower blue, one of corn yellow, and one of neon orange. But as I spot them, it seems I've been spotted as well by 3 sentient maracas, which fly down to the leaders and play a very similar song as before, turning their minds against me. I suppose round 2 is part of my schedule now. Marked in shorthand, creature log, scurvy crew. They follow gentlemanly codes during combat, for some reason, attacking one at a time, with differing levels of skill. When their arms are down, jump on them, then hit the ground to flip them over, followed by a stomp on their undersides. Learning from their mistakes, they don each other's shoulders. Do not jump on their heads. They've adapted. Let them throw their arms up and roll into them. When the Jenga tower of crabs crashes, jump on each one individually. But be fast. Repeat the operation again, and they have lost their will to fight. (3-1) Wonky waterway. 3-2 Button bash. 3-4 Damp dungeon. Entry 12. What incredible infrastructure. Oh, excuse me. I've gone and gotten ahead of myself. I have departed the beach and found myself amongst trees once again. However, these are littered with ancient ruins, in such pristine condition too. If it were not for the level of rewilding present and the seeming complete lack of habitation, I would think them to be modern. The ruins are primarily composed of a stone type that is unknown to me. Memoir. Find a broken-off piece for study. Entry 13, marked in shorthand. 3-3, mast blast. Employ your quickest foot, or it may cost you that appendage. 3-5, itty-bitty biters. Dear Lord, leave my toes alone! 3-6, temple topple. I've ridden back a rhino while he trampled an ancient temple. Memoir. Mourn. Entry 14. Oh my word. I've stumbled deeper into a main temple. It seems a massive space was carved out of the ground to house this space. The space is filled with all manner of mega-structures, including a large statue of a banana and a few monkeys with torches, perhaps, surrounding a large golden shield featuring a phoenix motif. In front of said shield, there's an egg, bigger than even myself. It almost appears like an altar. Oh, crud. It's a trap. There's a big red bird throwing bombs at me. The song awakened the egg, and it grew into a large bird and a cauldron. The egg fell into the cauldron, a golden one, full of bombs. In its first moments of life, it has chosen exceptional violence. A sentient gong sprung from behind the golden gong, and played this song, activating the monkey statues to strike and awaken the egg. Marked in shorthand, creature log, stew. At first, he simply throws some bombs, pick them up and return fire. Upon being hit, he will attempt some dive bombing as well. The aerial maneuver, he uses no extra bombs. Duck underneath. For some godless reason, there's also missiles in that cauldron. If he uses them, just back away and get up high to escape the blast. Then, it's likely he'll start carpet bombing the entire area. Throw them away from you, preferably towards him. Roughly 5 shots will take the wind out of his wings. And please do try your best not to annihilate the surrounding temple. (4-2) Grip and Trip. 4-4 Mole Patrol. 4-5 Crowded Cavern. Entry 15. I've been met with an impossible impasse. No obvious route ahead is visible to me, except a gargantuan hole stretching vertically across this mountain like a brutal scar. Despite every ounce of genetic ancestry telling me otherwise, I believe I see cave diving in my future. Entering the maw of this behemoth, my eyes barely function, like a massive creature eating me for lunch. I feel like I've been swallowed by darkness. This is where light goes to die. Entry 16. 4-1 Rickety Rails. The light of Gabriel graces me, all across the darkness-blanketed walls of grey. I see sparklings of beautiful cyan light tracing the boundaries of this space. It appears to be originating from self-contained clusters of luminous crystal, growing all across the surfaces of this cave. Thankfully, they illuminate a seemingly intact railway system, equipped with a minecart. I'm currently riding in this minecart. It's truly breathtaking. Tons of little pinprick lights race by at seemingly unimaginable speed, as if I was looking at the night sky of Earth, and millions of years were racing by in the blink of an eye. For a while, I shall put down this journal and simply enjoy the view that God has allotted me. Entry 17. Memoir. Tell Murphy that his law is silly. Entry 18. As I walk deeper into the mine, slowly, the terrain around me takes on more and more mine shafts. Like a sprawling web of rail is forming around me, and at the center, there appears to be a moving operation. Tons of bananas are funneled into a long train, supervised by a lot of mole workers. And another one of the sentient instruments, a bongo. instead of accidentally being spotted. I have a better idea. Ooga booga! I yelled at him. I've never seen a bongo with such genuine terror in its eyes before. With no one else around, he was forced to inhabit the body of one of the moles and drive off to get away from me. I am standing on the train. I figured it's high time to give my feet a rest, since they ache oh so much, and instead hitch a ride. Of course, it's not a pleasure cruise. He has been throwing wrenches at me while writing this. Besides that, though, feeling the air toss around my hair makes for a rather relaxing ride. I imagine I'll derail this train before too long. After I make my way off, of course. I have no intention of experiencing a roller coaster today. (5-2) Clingy swingy. 5-3 Flutter fly away. 5-4 Tippin' totems. 5-5 Long shot launch. 5-6 Springy spores. 5-7 Wiggle vine wonders. 5-8 Muncher marathon. Entry 19. By all that is holy, I've never been this excited to feel sunshine on my skin, though my eyes may have had a small objection. I've spotted a forest on my path, though it's exceptionally far away. It's my only path forward. It's not far away at all. These trees threw off my depth perception. They are so large that they could rival the volcano that they grow next to. The vegetation is incredibly dense and lively. I do hope I don't trample any of these incredible plants. Entry 20. 5-1 Vine Valley. The naming of this adventure was taken seriously. Vines litter the canopy, even putting the amount of stalactites from earlier to shame. There's so many indeed that multiple creatures have evolved to have a vine-like tongue in an effort to capture their next meal. There's a part of this adventure that's bound to give you trouble. I've added a doodle of the area and a rough map to guide anyone reading this through it. Memoir. Don't forget to add a map. Entry 21. I've located some larger structure whose size suggests it is some location of operation. It's akin to a treehouse for the child of a giant. Within lie 5 spherical structures covered in vines and buttons of some sort. Oh, I've spotted some manner of sleeping monster. It looks like a serpentine creature, with a head large enough to swallow me whole. Though not made of flesh, it's primarily composed of plant matter, like a thick vine to comprise the body, a crown of leaves, and a jaw made of wood. And its most prominent feature are a few equidistant red spheres, berries perhaps, that line its vine-like spine. It's fair to assume that this creature is predatory, given its sharp teeth. Memoir. Steer clear of large clearings. It's quickly becoming too dark to write, so... Marked in shorthand. Creature log. Mango ruby. The buttons! hitting them one after another opens up some blinds, letting the rays of the sun pour in like lava and burn the creature's skin, disabling his electric powers, which he typically uses to protect himself. Now is the time to strike and stomp on him. Once completed, he leaves behind explosives in his path, along with a boost in speed, a quite significant one. The creature lacks intelligence, however. All the evolutionary points went into nimbleness and sheer speed. Given my difficulty controlling this vessel, I find myself quickly outmatched, though by predicting where he will go instead of chasing him, I'm able to barely close the speed gap and end the fight. (6-2) Prehistoric Path. 6-4 Boulder Roller. 6-5 Precarious Plateau. 6-6 Crumble Canyon. 6-8 Clifftop Climb. Entry 22. This area is bound to make even robots feel fear. This ancient desert-like area is littered with jagged and chaotic rises of rock, along with unpredictable and inconspicuous pitfalls. Should you fall down one of these, may the fall kill you. For at the bottom, there is some sort of purple substance with the consistency of tar, continuously emitting a seemingly toxic gas. A true cornucopia of death, both undeath and ancient death. For fossils litter the floor, and skeletons traverse the floor, in some sense, reincarnated. Memoir, gather some of the gas and liquid. Entry 23, marked in shorthand. 6-1, sticky situation. The ground here is caked in a lake of tar, as black as the robes of the Grim Reaper, and quite as deadly, too. Luckily, there's also plenty of man-made platforms. Migrating. 6-4, Boulder Roller. Erosion is rather typical. Erosion by boulders that turn archaeologists into track stars, however. An interesting quirk of this land. Entry 24, 6-3, Weighty Way. The age of reliable scaffolding has come to an end. Some ancient civilization thought it an incredible idea to install seesaws in the absence of roads or other likewise travel infrastructure. I must admit, shocking. Regardless, there's an incredible challenge ahead, needing quite the level of athleticism to get through, not dexterity. I will return soon. It may have cost me a circus store's worth of balloon, but victory is mine. Though I must admit my apprehension to give any more to this time vampire. 6-7, Tippy Shippy. I find deja vu overtaking me in this area, as familiar enemies fill my vision. Pirate crabs. Memoir. We write that to sound less silly. And while their ships were corroded, their cannons were preloaded, and upon my arrival, I had set off their trap, and they released a barrage so large that the rays from the sun had to struggle to be seen. But the exaggerated number of ballistic squid missiles was but the sidearm, for the cannon ports themselves seek to harm. You see, I've got a fun plan for progression. The ports seem to fire at a very predictable pattern, and that very pattern didn't evade me forever. Entry 25. At the apex of a stone column, I see something quite reminiscent. A rather large clearing. Well, I must admit, I've started enjoying the competition that these cage matches bring. So despite my ability to dodge this encounter, I could instead have some fun.
Oh, great Scott!
Oh, my sense of déjà vu is developing déjà vu. I've stumbled upon a very similar creature to Mowgli. Presumably, another one of its species, though covered in metal plates and a lack of parental love during childhood. I say this because his eyes are bloodshot red and rapidly growing, since he's currently charging at me. Not slowly either. He merely has a very large distance to cover. Marked in shorthand, creature log, Thagre. Attack 1. If he barks, then a charge is following. Take to the air and jump over him. There's a chance his armor will come loose and allow an attack, though not always. Attack 2. Scraping his front legs against the ground means he's preparing a faster charge. Difficult to dodge later. Spoilers, but easy enough at the moment. He's bound to hit the wall on either side and knock loose some rocks, so be careful of your north and to jump on his belly when he falls over. After some provocation, he shows a skill similar to his brother, turning orange and speeding up, along with adding a new move to his repertoire. If he puffs up, then hug the floor like it's a long-lost brother, because he's shooting fire. Provoke him some more, and he enters his last transformation. Now red, he moves even faster than before, presenting some difficulty while using all the moves, along with another new attack. He leans back and shoots forth 3 fireballs, one of which will break apart and shoot more projectiles. It hardly bears mentioning, but dodge those. (7-1) Foggy Fumes. 7-2 Slamming Steel. 7-3 Handy Hazards. 7-4 Gear Getaway. 7-5 Cog Jog. Entry 26. This is odd. This world, vast in nature, has swapped its tree for steel beams and its grasslands for more steel. Now, the chronology of native sapien creatures has officially been designated as a mess. Though, I suspect these machines are rather new, for not an ounce of rust is to be spotted anywhere. I'm left to assume that this area potentially houses my own machine. No time to waste. Entry 27. 7-6 Switcheroo. Great Scott. What sadistic mind came up with this design? Touch-activated switches litter the walls, consisting of 2 colors that are treated like 2 different states. Should you fly past one of these, then I pray you had a landing figured out. For the switch corresponds with color-coded platforms, which will retract or come forth from the wall, meaning if improvisation joins your routine, then meeting the structure's foundation will follow. One must proceed with a plan, seeking out safe passages and learning them step for step. A literal dance with death. Poetic. 7-7 Music Madness. No one will ever believe that my prior reference to dance was a coincidence. A shame indeed. But, personal lack of vindication to the side, I had a fleeting thought that my restriction to bongo movement may perchance be a boon here. It was not. I feel like a child whom was promised Disneyland, but received an orthodontist appointment in its stead. Memoir. Seek therapy. Not appropriate reaction. Regardless, there's semi-truck-sized mechanical monstrosities in the shape of hammers in my path, rhythmically crashing down into the drum flooring and sending reverberations all throughout me. Next up is a cluster of platforms that can't help but dance to the music. Despite being rather slippery sometimes, they stick to rhythm. Frankly, words abandon me at this moment. There's water geysers and flamethrowers. I do hope this island has OSHA, because they will receive a letter with excessively strong wording. Literal death traps they may be. Human endurance trumps all. Entry 28. At the heart of this factory, there's pipes and machines crawling through every inch of this room, with a laborious machine in the middle that's seemingly melting down bananas and turning them into tiki creatures. Unlike the instruments, but similar, it appears I've discovered the reason for their hoarding of potassium sticks, though, unfortunately for me, my machine is not here. But I can't help but feel that if I were to see it here, then it'd be in the form of broken down scraps. So the search continues. There's also a chicken. (8-2) Hot Rocket. 8-3 Roasting Rails. 8-4 Smoky Peak. 8-6 Moving Melters. Entry 29. Setting foot in this place is to be done swiftly, lest I wish for it to be cooked. I'm ascending the volcano, near to the top. This area is filled with molten snakes of lava, worming into the surrounding rock and adding to ever-expanding moats of nightmare water. The ambient temperature is akin to having a malfunctioning heating blanket stuck to you, smothering every square inch without mercy. I swear that some of the sweat is steaming off of me. Breathing is a battle between wrestling the smoke from my lungs to fill them with air, and fighting the sulfur smell from my nose to ensure, in my lungs, it stays. I must be careful to ensure my ink does not smudge with my sweat. Entry 30, 8-1, Furious Fire. An idle man is punished. The floor here is a mere few meters above roiling lava, and thus hot enough to make any man dance with a fervor. Dance away, should you find yourself here, because a fleet-footed man is a heartbeat-having man, for semi-sentient flaming globules dominate the sky. 8-5, Bobbing Basalt. Upon hearing the name, I'm immediately reminded of fun festivals where tons of excited patrons would line up around a barrel and try their best to bite the apple out of the water. And then a lava tsunami happened, like it was a festival in Pompeii. Memoir. Seek more therapy. A rather fun challenge, befitting of the hellish visage. It starts off with a decent amount of parkour, jumping from basalt island to island. Then, look up and anticipate the hail of fire rain in the form of spheres of flaming rock, terrifying and as unpredictable as a mare in estrus. Other than this, however, some more exceptional movement is needed to finish off the level. 8-7 Red Rising. I suppose this is it, the beginning of the end. You may think I'm referring to the level. I am not. I have yet to experience it, as I'm writing this before attempting. I'm savoring this last little bit of respite, a final moment of peace. The climax lies on the horizon, the culmination of every single skill I've developed over the course of this adventure. Each and every trial and tribulation stood in my way, only to teach me exactly how to overcome it, adding to my collection of knowledge every step of the way, simply for the privilege of partaking in this fight and fighting for my freedom. Despite how difficult it may have been, fun is the predominant feeling, and once it's all over, I imagine I'll feel a touch of longing for the challenge, for something to buck against with all of my might, and see it ready for more. And I can't help but let thoughts of sadness penetrate my mind. But I'll shake these straight thoughts from my mind, for now is not the time for that. I have a job to do. And there it is. Tranquility. The type that only appears when a mind is focused on but one singular goal. Victory. Entry 31, 8-B, Tiki Tong Terra. Following a rocket ride to stretch the last distance of this journey, I spot a large tiki head that spans the open mouth of the volcano. No doubt, the perfect place for this climactic closing Colosseum battle. So without hesitation, I fly into the mouth of the beast. I land on a round platform, instinctively drawn to the smell of bananas. Oh, I'm welcomed by all of the tiki instruments that have already felt our wrath. Christ, what is that? Some massive tiki head joins them, likely their leader, complete with a set of sharp teeth lining his maw, a toothy maw to be sure. His head came off, and the other tikis are throwing bananas into his head. He's closed back up and started spinning, faster and faster, possibly preparing an attack as the tikis gather around him. Now, you might be wondering why I'm not stopping this, or attacking while he's vulnerable. Where's your competitive spirit? A competition is deflated if won due to outside forces, outside of our relative strength being slammed together until one buckles. He's currently vomiting on his allies, coating them in a substance resembling ambrosia, and they're sticking together into one large ball, growing. The puppets have become the very hands that used to control them, and my opponent has been born. Marked in full hand, creature log, Tiki Tong. If he holds his hands at either side of the arena horizontally, then he's preparing to sweep across. The easiest rebuttal is to lie down on the floor, but it's possible, if timed correctly, to jump on the lower hand's crystal, dealing counter damage. Should his hands be vertical, then he's preparing an aggressive clap. By running to either side of the screen and jumping on the hands, I was able to avoid this grim fate. Another possible method of attack is to put his palm up and prepare several strikes. Once his jewel flashes, he's striking downwards. I see this more as an opportunity for counterattack, rather than his attack. Simply move away from the attack and make for his jewel. But caution is warranted. He mixes up the amount of attacks by quickly retreating his hand and attacking with the other, either once or twice. And if he's really feeling the heat of his incoming demise, then he might try a fake out by preparing a slam but backing out last moment, already relying on tricks. But like most tricks, knowledge of it diffuses the danger. A recommendation is to focus on one hand. 2 attacks dismantle the crystals, while it's a shame to destroy such a vibrant ruby. His hand goes with it, making the disassembly of the other easier. After both have been destroyed, he shows his headstrong nature, slamming his own skull into the ground and sending a shockwave across the plane, but exposing another crystal. I've been conditioned into a quickening heart upon seeing this attack. This is the only opportunity for attack, meaning the pressure was mounting with every failed counter. You see, the timing of this got sharper and sharper, sharp enough to nick myself on recklessness as I sped up the approach to ensure that I would hit it. I was hit instead by the shock, losing my appendage, which only served to make this harder. A limited amount of tries, with a downside of damage and ever tighter timing, turned this attack into my white whale. Though, this only matters due to the danger that the other attacks pose. Between rounds of slamming, he spews forth a lot of flaming tikis, either in a line or straight towards you. If they are straight, there's no special way to dodge them. However, if he lays them out in a horizontal line, then you must copy the best ballerinas you've ever seen and employ exceptional footwork, weaving in and out of the line where there's no hole. Entry 32. I'm on my last leg. I struggle to move. There's fire all around me. Barely any space to move. But he's rearing up for a slam. And I was caught. I will be back. I've got him. Dead to rights. Full health. Not an ounce of fire to warm the icy nature of this execution. I can see his head falling to the ground, almost in slow motion, because I know exactly what this means. First, wait for a second. Let that wave make more way. Second, run forth. Jump over the ripple. I'm closer to him now. Third, gather speed and jump above him. If he were to look up, then he'd see me blocking out the sun, and I see the light leave his eyes as shadow cloaks the entirety of his being, gripping around his soul as it struggles to stay alight. No matter. Like the smoke from this candle, his evil presence lifts off of the island and vanishes away, like the memories of his reign, from every mind unfortunate enough to witness it. And there you have it. After the fight, I simply found my machine and spent some time repairing it. but I figured this would be a more appropriate ending. I truly enjoyed this adventure. The difficulty at times only served to make it even more memorable. And I hope you've enjoyed my retelling just as much. That being said, you look about ready to doze off, but if you'd like to hear another story, then feel free to pick one from my collection all around you. In the meantime, I'll be off, but for just a little moment.